Hello everybody. If you're currently experiencing chronic pain, severe fatigue, weird symptoms that test can't explain, if you've ever been dismissed or told it's all in your head, this is for you. In this video, I'm breaking down the ideas from the book Unlearn Your Pain by Dr. Howard Schubiner. Here it is. And how they might relate to recovery from conditions like mecfs, longcovid, fibromyalgia. So if you're here watching live, do let me know. Put a hi in the chat. Let me know where you are in the world. If you're watching the replay, again, just let me know where you are in the world. Put hashtag replay. So just to be really clear, this is not about blaming you or saying it's just psychological. Your symptoms are real. The suffering is real. I know that because I had mecfs and fibromyalgia for around 8-9 years. At one point I was bedbound, sleeping and resting 18 hours a day, and couldn't walk for 1 minute without payback. And what helped me was the kind of stuff I'm going to talk about today: mind, body, and practical approaches. Okay, so use your judgment. You can decide whether these concepts that I'm sharing are relevant to you. If they're not, I wish you well and hope you find solutions that are sustainable and work for you. So Mandy says, hi Simon, hope you had fun in Greece. Wet and windy and cold here in Kent. Yeah, same in here in London. Yes, I did have a lot of fun. Thank you, Mandy. Nice to have your company. And I see there's other people who've joined, so do feel free to say hello. Tell me where you are in the world. All right, so let's get into it. The main premise I want to talk about is that Dr. Schubiner's main idea is this: chronic symptoms are not always caused by ongoing physical damage in the body. Sometimes the brain and the nervous system learn patterns of protection that keep running long after the original injury, illness, stressor is gone. So, for example, some years ago, I worked a lot with people from Bergen, Norway, because many people got sick because the water got polluted. And I got to know a doctor who worked with a lot of these people, and she said, you know, the bacteria had cleared from the body, but they were still experiencing post-viral fatigue, mecfs. Okay, and one of the people who I trained, who came in a wheelchair, said to me, why is it I got sick and my husband didn't? And I thought, that's an interesting question. I'll think about it. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I realised what I wanted to talk about was Louis Pasteur and one of his contemporaries, because Pasteur was saying it's the germ that makes people sick. But one of his contemporaries, a chap called Bernard, was saying, well, actually, it's the state of the terrain, the state of the recipient. So if you give two people some polluted water, let's say they've both been on a roller coaster ride. One person loves roller coaster rides, and it was a long roller coaster ride. Let's say it lasted 2 hours. One person's going to be excited because they love roller coaster ride, and their body's going to produce some stress hormones, but also some feel-good hormones of exhilaration, excitement. The other person really finds roller coaster rides stressful. Their system is going to be in a more stressed state, and when we know we're in a consistent stress state, that actually suppresses our immune function, along with other things that I've talked about in other videos. If you give both those people that polluted water, what's more likely to happen? Something to consider. Okay, feel free to give your answers in the chat. So sometimes the brain and nervous system learn patterns of protection that keep running long after that original injury, illness, stressor is gone. So the pain, fatigue, dizziness, gut issues, headaches are real, but in some cases the cause is a dysregulated, overprotective nervous system rather than something that's physically broken. So the brain can learn, just as you can learn to ride a bike or type without looking, or playing chords on a piano without having to think about it. Your brain can learn something you got good at because you practiced it that was useful, like playing the piano or shooting netball hoops or whatever. Let me know in the chat. But your brain can also learn these symptom pathways. Over time, the brain starts to predict danger. It fires the protective alarm, and that can create pain or other symptoms automatically. These neural pathways get stronger the more they're used. So whatever we practice, we get good at. So the body can stay in that protective brace mode, even when there's no ongoing damage that justifies that level of response. Let me know in the chat if you have that experience sometimes of bracing. I know when I had ME/CFS, I was doing activities like preparing my dinner, but in a kind of bracing mode, feeling my energy is going to run out. That actually helped my energy run out more quickly. So let's talk about what stress really means. When Dr. Schubiner talks about stress, he doesn't mean feeling busy. Stress can be unprocessed emotions, trauma or grief, fear, worry, perfectionism, and self-pressure. Okay? I talk a lot to people about things that can get in the way of recovery, including criticism, worry, and pressure that we put on ourselves to get better more quickly. People-pleasing, suppressed anger, repressed anger. Suppression is when we consciously decide not to act on our emotions. Repression is when it's subconsciously pressed down. Okay, relationship tension, internal conflict. All these things can cause stress in our system. So let me know if you can relate to any of those in the chat. A lot of us have lived like this for so long, it just feels normal. But the nervous system is keeping the score, which is another good book. So let's talk about perceived danger and conditioning. The nervous system doesn't only react to what's dangerous. It reacts to what it thinks might be dangerous. So Penny says, yes, definitely. So thanks for letting me know, Penny. Thoughts, memories, expectations, places, movements, people, can, even times of the day or seasons, can become triggers. So symptoms get linked to walking up the stairs, doing an activity, sitting at the desk, certain foods, specific people, locations or situations, stressful events. Eventually the brain starts producing symptoms on autopilot, as I say, whenever those cues appear. So how often have you just thought of a person and you tense up just because you think, oh, they're quite hard work, they're quite defensive, it's hard to talk to that person? Let me know in the chat if you can relate to that. I certainly can. Okay, eventually the brain starts producing these symptoms on autopilot, as I say, whenever those cues appear. It's like Pavlov's dogs learning to salivate at the sound of the bell. I'm guessing you might know about Pavlov and his dogs, but if you don't, Pavlov was, I think, a psychologist, and he did an experiment where every time he fed his dogs, he rang a bell. After a while, just ringing the bell, the dogs would start to salivate because they'd made that association. So the brain's job is protection. Sometimes it just becomes overprotective. So knowledge as treatment. One of the most hopeful parts of the book, Unlearn Your Pain, is this. Understanding what's happening can be part damaged. Maybe my brain and nervous system are generating these symptoms as protection. Then the fear starts to come down. And when the fear drops, the nervous system can begin to settle, which results in less alarm, less bracing, less fuel for those symptom pathways. We can actually start to rewire the brain. Because, for example, if we start noticing sensations in our body and saying, okay, this is just an adjustment, maybe I did more than I was used to at this point in time, but that's okay. It will pass. Then we're starting to send different signals. Penny says, yes, definitely some people. Okay, so let's talk about the role of emotions. Dr. Schubiner puts a big focus on emotions, not in a let's talk about your childhood forever kind of way, but more in a let's reduce internal tension way. He encourages people to notice what they feel. Allow emotions instead of pushing them down. Express them safely through writing, talking, creativity. Process past experiences that still carry charge. Sometimes I've actually moved my body because I'm feeling a lot of emotion and I need to get it out of my system. Sometimes I walk in the park and I stomp on the park and I'm saying things out loud to get some of that emotion. Often, not often, but when I'm doing it, it's often because I'm angry, out of my system. And I remember talking in my Facebook group about punching pillows, and someone in the group said, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's violent." Well, it's not violent if you're punching pillows, okay? It is violent, and I'm not advocating this in any shape or form, if you're punching people. So it's better that we get some of that anger out of our system so we're more able to engage with people in a constructive way, okay? So the goal isn't endless analysis. The goal is to release some of the pressure that keeps the system stuck in the defensive mode. So let's talk about 3 components of recovery. So Dr. Schubiner breaks down recovery into 3 main parts. Education, learning how the brain and nervous system can create and maintain pressures and life stress. Number 3, neural rewiring, as I just talked about, gently creating new experiences of safety and very gradually teaching your brain that normal activities are not dangerous. So I've talked more about that in other videos. I made a video about how to approach activity without crashing. So check out that video. There's a playlist with videos on how to approach movement and activity. And what I talk about is that this looks like small, safe experiments. Tiny movements, tiny exposures paired with calm, reassurance and self-compassion. And again, this is something we've talked about in the resilience group coaching calls. These happen every 2 weeks. There's no charge for that. And you can watch the replays, and in some of those replays, I've talked about these strategies, okay, for how to approach movement and activity in a way that teaches your mind, body, and physiology that you are safe, okay? And by those repeated experiences of safety, we start to build confidence and nervous system regulation. I'm noticing there's a little bit of a freeze at times, so hoping that's not too much of an issue your end. So let's talk about not fighting symptoms and teaching safety. The key message is don't fight your symptoms. Instead, focus on reducing the fear, increasing that felt sense of safety, updating beliefs about your body, processing emotions, slowly returning to meaningful activities. I'd like you to consider that there's a part of your brain, we call it the emotional brain in the mind-body reconnect. And that part of your brain has 2 roles. It wants you to be safe, but it also wants you to be fulfilled. Now, often people with mecfs, they might be lying in bed, they might feel safe, but they're not feeling fulfilled. They get bored and frustrated. If you're bored and frustrated, your body isn't healing, all right? And therefore, finding small things that you can do to just feed yourself some connection, fun, stimulation can actually help, all right? Because as I say, lying in bed feeling frustrated and bored is actually just putting your system in a state of stress. So that combination sends the message, we're safer now. You don't have to protect me this hard anymore. So important caveat on how this fits with mecfs, longcovid, fibromyalgia and related conditions. So Dr. Schubiner is not saying that everything is psychological or made up. He's clear that symptoms are real. Should be properly investigated. This model fits some chronic symptoms, not necessarily all of them all of the time. For people with mecfs, long-COVID fibromyalgia, many find these ideas helpful as one piece of a larger recovery puzzle. Nervous system regulation, stress physiology, symptom prediction and conditioning, and neuroplasticity. So it doesn't have to replace biological explanations. It can sit alongside them as another lever to pull. So sometimes chronic symptoms are learned protective responses of the brain and nervous system. And by reducing fear, processing emotions, creating new experiences of safety, these patterns can be rewired. If this resonates with you and you want more content on nervous system based approaches to mecfs, long COVID fibromyalgia, let me know in the comments and subscribe to future videos. Okay, if you'd like to access a simple technique called the mind-body reset to apply some of these concepts, comment reset and I'll get that to you. I am in the process of shifting my website, moving it over to a new platform, so should be done in the next few days, so bear with me, but I will send you that link. If you comment reset, it's yours. Okay, so if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. If you have got any experiences that you think might be the brain being overprotective, I'd love to know about them. If you'd like more help, I say you're welcome to join the Resilience Group coaching calls, which happen every 2 weeks. There's a time in UK morning, 9:30 a.m. BST. That's kind of friendly for people UK, Europe, and people in Australia, New Zealand. There's a time in the afternoon, 4:30 p.m. BST. That is more friendly for people in America, particularly West Coast. So we've got 2 times, happens every 2 weeks. If you'd like to know more about the Resilience Group coaching, there is a link below this video. I'd really recommend this book. So I have put a link below the video. So if you want to get this book, check it out. Just so you know, it is an affiliate link. If you use it, I will get a small amount. You won't pay any more. You know, I get a few pence, but it makes me feel like a business person. All right. So, and it supports the work I'm doing, you know, because a lot of the work I pay a virtual assistant to help me. So it just helps. Anyway, as I say, if you've got any questions, let me know. If you've got a topic you'd like me to cover, let me know. And otherwise, I always say to people, dare to dream big dreams. It's important to have dreams and do what you can to work towards them. And dare to take steps, no matter how small. Okay? I really invite you to think, what can I do today to add a bit of fun, connection, stimulation in the right amount for me? Because we need to feed our soul, if you like. So thanks for joining me. If you like this video, do leave a comment, leave a thumbs up. I see I've got a thumbs up from someone. I've started to read it. It's excellent. Yeah, it's a really great book. And Dr. Howard Schubiner is one of those people. He's a really genuine, authentic person. I've met him a couple of times. And when you're talking to him, he's not one of those people who's kind of looking over your shoulder thinking, is there someone more interesting? He's absolutely present and focused on you. He's a great guy. He truly, truly, truly wants to help people. So I do recommend the book. It's a really good book. It's an easy read. I got it on audio as well, so I could listen to it whilst I was walking because I wanted to make this video for you as soon as possible. So thanks for joining me. Keep going. Dare to dream and dare to take small steps. See you in the next video. Bye for now.